quickly then a short UFC 146 recap video. In terms of Mike Brown and Daniel Pineda, just a little bit too late really with Pineda. I think he didn't do so well in the first round, did better in the second round, although lost a submission opportunity in the second, and he just was not quite quick enough in the third with his submission attempt. But there we are. Glover managed to beat Kyle Kingsbury. A lot of people said they thought that he would. That was really the one, I suppose, disappointment in my picks, although I did very, very well, in fact. That was one that I should really have spotted had I done my research properly, but it was just quick picks, so there we are. Dan Hardy did really, really well against Duane Ludwig, and I think that we must not downplay how important this win was for him, because he has lost too many in a row, really, to be in that institution anymore, and they have given him more chances than they possibly should have. He's an asset of course, being quite a big British star, and they don't have too many of them yet, so he's still a business asset despite his attainment record recently. I do have to say that I think we now have to see a run of victories against no less than this level calibre in order for us to think that yes, he's actually sort of earned the right, I guess, to have been given the extra opportunities that maybe some people feel he shouldn't have got. Jason Miller, not too impressive, and certainly not very impressive in whatever happened afterwards in the locker room that got him cut or something like that. Jamie Varner, I went for Jamie Varner despite the fact him saying that he was terribly nervous about it, and Edson Barboza shouldn't be too, I don't think, disappointed from this. He has had quite a stellar rise, and I do think that he still will. But Jamie Varner has a great wealth of experience, and occasionally he can just pull that out of the hat. Darren Elkins eked a decision there. Stefan Struve did extremely well. He is one of the people that I remember from Cage Gladiators. So I'm pleased to see him win. I didn't think that he would. And that was really because of the power that Johnson showed, particularly against Pat Barry. And it has to be said that in the short amount of time it took for Stefan Struve to get his victory, he'd already got cut. So, there we are. Stipe won. That was a complete guess, I seem to recall, but there we are. Roy Nelson won. There we are. And then it was pretty obvious, I think, the two main events here. Cain Velasquez won, and it was a little bit of a how do you put it? There was a bit of blood everywhere in that one, and Junior Dos Santos, he won as well, and there is talk about Mir, I think, retiring. I'm not completely sure of that, but there was some mention of it. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is the match between Jacob Volkmann and Paul Sass. Paul Sass is somebody that I followed with great interest during Cage Gladiators, and it's very interesting to see him fighting in the UFC when he's somebody that I remember just sort of fighting on a reasonably small sort of fight league in England. You know, it wasn't Cage Warriors and it wasn't Cage Rage, which were the two big ones at that point in time. 4 or 5 years later, here he is in the UFC, still with an unbroken record, still winning by triangle, and still not really having much to say for himself despite doing so well. He looked a little bit overcome at the end, to be honest, when he was during his interview. It was a little bit like, well, he didn't really know how he'd managed to do what he'd done, but there we are. And Volkmann was a big challenge, to be fair to him. Volkmann was also somebody who I had overlooked previously, but turned out to be rather good on the ground. Well, you know, apart from maybe saving himself from an attempt, a triangle attempt earlier on in the first round, I think that was really about all we saw in terms of brilliance from Jacob Volkmann. As soon as they hit the ground, it was pretty much Paul Sass. Now, if Volkmann had any sense when he got up, he would not have tried to re-engage on the ground. But there you are. He did, and that was the end of that. So I am going to give Paul Sass my Man of the Card award for that, and that is my recap video for this event.